Hi, I'm Jeff Brazil with the online programs from the University of Arkansas. In this recorded webinar, you will hear Dr. Jim Maddox from the College of Education and Health Professions talk about the Doctor of Education in Human Resource Development. Great stuff. And remember, go Hogs.
We're going over the Doctor of Education in Human Resource Development. This program is put on by the College of Education and Health Professions here at the University of Arkansas. Also, as Jeff mentioned, we have with us today a special guest, Dr. Jim Maddox, who is a faculty member. He's a teaching associate professor of human resource development here at the university. He is also the graduate program coordinator for this, for actually both graduate programs, the master's and the doctoral program. So his contact information is there. We're going to give him a chance to speak here in a little bit, and so you'll have an opportunity to ask him questions. Briefly, what we're going to go over today is just I'll do a quick overview of the program itself, how much it costs, things like that, then kind of like the benefits of an online degree. The University of Arkansas's global campus is kind of who puts together the online side and coordinates with faculty to make this happen. So I'll go over kind of some of the stuff that we do, as well as a quick overview of the admissions process, and then what you can expect your student life to look like, and some resources to help you get through college, as well as some resources for paying for college. So first off, as I said, this is a doctoral program. This is for human resource development. This program requires quite a bit of determination, willpower to get through. It's a pretty lengthy program, and so you kind of have to have that drive to succeed. So what does that commitment look like? Well, this is a 100% online program. It is 54 credit hours, which is estimated to take you about 4 years, but there is no entrance exam required, so you do not have to take the GRE to get into this program. So kind of an overview, if you're looking into this program, we get a wide variety of people that come into this program that, are considering it. So if you have any interest in any of these following areas, this might be a really good fit for you. So human resources, psychology, organizational behavior, occupational counseling, workplace assessments and evaluation, program design, consulting practice, and organizational development and change. If any of those things and more, are an interest for you, this might be a good fit for you. And then, as it says there, this program is primarily designed for scholar practitioners with a foundation in like research and application of HRD already, but to kind of build on that and maybe to work in a variety of industries as well as education, academia. And we're also really, really proud of this program because we've had 10 years of successful execution of this program online, and it's competitive with any other HRD program in the country. So to get admission into the program, the requirements for that are a demonstration of interest in a career in HRD, potential to contribute to the advancement of the field, as well as previous work experience, and then the actual application process. For that, you'll need to first apply to the University of Arkansas's graduate school, and then to do that, you'll need an earned master's degree, and then you'll need to also at that time submit an autobiographical sketch as well as a resume to kind of show that work experience. And then the application deadlines for this program for the fall semester is August 1st, and for the spring semester is December 1st. And then I think that the student story is a really great one and kind of like highlights the leadership aspects of this program and how getting into a leadership role, this can be really, really beneficial for that. But to speak more to the role, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Maddox and let him kind of talk about it from the faculty perspective and give you kind of an overview of what you can expect in the programs, as well as maybe some career outcomes and things like that. So I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Maddox.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, and Stormy is right now working on her dissertation. So I read the first couple drafts of her first chapters just like a month or so ago. I'm not the chair of her committee, but I do serve on that committee. And so, yeah, welcome. Let me know if you have any questions. Naid Espinoza, nice to see you on here. And so recognized recognize her. Yeah, so the program is 54 credit hours, and that breaks down into kind of three buckets. There are 18 hours of research and research methods courses. And then there are 18 hours of HRD core courses. And then there's 18 hours of dissertation. And so you don't do the 18 dissertation hours until you have completed the other 36 hours and you've passed your comprehensive exam. Then you start working on the dissertation. So that's when those 18 hours kick in. So the kind of the first part is those first 36 hours. And so people come into the program with a wide range of backgrounds. Some students come in with a master's in HRD. Some have a master's in HR. Number have MBAs. I've had students with healthcare backgrounds, science backgrounds, food safety. The master's degree can be in any field, and so it doesn't have to be specific to HRD. And so the program is kind of self-contained in that sense. And people come into the program wanting to do a variety of things with it. Some are already working like in higher ed as like maybe an instructor or entry level faculty position, and so they're wanting the doctorate degree to move into that faculty role more full time. I've had a number, got a couple that are in healthcare that are in leadership roles, and so they're interested in the program to just deepen their knowledge of HRD, and particularly to hone kind of their research skills, because research skills are not just applicable to an academic setting, but in a wide range of roles. If you're doing a consulting project, there's going to be an element of research to that, of action research, of collecting data, analyzing what's going on, and feeding that back to the organization. So the research skills, I think, are a really key part of the program. And so it is an EdD program, but it is every bit as solid research-wise as a PhD program. And so, and as Will and Jeff said, the program is fully online. Students typically take 2 courses a semester and then 1 or 2 classes in the summer. And then typically around 4 years, because you've got 2 years of coursework, and then the dissertation takes usually around 3 semesters. I've had some students that were really ambitious and thought they could knock it out in 2 semesters. That is really on the short side of that. I would say that 3 semesters is very reasonable. And so the program is fairly small. We try to keep it around 35 to 40 students. And so, and there are 3 faculty that teach in the program full time. We use very few adjunct instructors in our doctoral program. We have 2 tenured faculty members, and then myself. I just finished up my 31st year as a professor. I was in a tenured position in Kansas before coming to the U of A. And now I'm in a teaching associate professor role. So it's non-tenure based, and I have the program coordinating with it. So it's very much teaching focused and coordinating. So I absolutely love the program and love the field. My background is primarily in organization development and change. And so, but I've done a lot in the training field as well. And so, and prior to becoming a professor, worked for 7 years in an HR department. So I love the program. I love working with students, and there's a wide range of things you can do with the degree, for everything from, I would say what the common denominator, what people do with the degree is work in some type of leadership role, because it gives you kind of that strategic perspective. And so whether it's in an academic setting or in a industry setting or nonprofit. We have students across the gamut.
The big draw of online and why online degrees are becoming more popular is because of flexibility, right? So I know for our global campus, like all of our online students, about 81% of them are working full time currently. And then about 51% of them are also parents. So even if you don't think that you can do it, I promise you, you can. It is tough at times. There are hard times whenever you're trying to get through it and where to fit in the schoolwork into your, work-life balance and all of that. But it's definitely doable. You can definitely find your place from any place. And then additionally, we worked really, really hard to make sure that these are affordable. I'll go over this a little bit more in a minute when I go over tuition, but one of the great things about this online degree is no matter where you are in the world, you'll pay the same in-state tuition rate anywhere in the world. And that gets you access to all of what we do at Global Campus, as well as the university's general Office of Career Connections and things like that. So you'll have a really great support network, and then obviously the prestige that goes with the top public research institution. So as I said, we are a top public research institution. So the University of Arkansas is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. We pride ourselves on our faculty, on our programs, and I think that's reflected a lot in the awards that we receive and the what other students and faculty have to say about us. We hear a lot of good things about it, and we're consistently ranked on the U.S. News and World Report for some of the best programs across undergraduate, graduate, engineering. The College of Education and Health Professions as well is consistently ranked very high on U.S. News and World Report, as well as a variety of other ranking associations. A lot of that is owing to faculty like Dr. Maddox and so many of their other great on-campus instructors. Most of the faculty that you're going to engage with in an online program here at the university are teaching the same on-campus as well. So you're getting a really quality education and a great network in that faculty, as well as the career advancements opportunities afforded to you through like the prestige of that name and that degree. The degree that you earn online is no different than if you had been here on campus. It's exactly the same. So we're really, really proud to be able to offer that. And then, so a brief overview of the admissions process. You'll apply first to the University of Arkansas's graduate school. Once it's approved on those for the graduate school, they'll pass that on to the actual program coordinators and the College of Education and Health Professions, and they will then determine at that point. During the application process, you'll pay the application fee and submit any transcripts or anything like that. I then encourage everybody to check their status on that same page to make sure that all of the necessary documents are uploaded, and then you'll be able to get an email at a later date with the decision of whether or not you got admitted. And then, so as an online student, you might be wondering, what is online learning like? Well, we use a learning management system called Blackboard Learn, and it's essentially like a virtual classroom. There's a lot of resources that you'll find here. So this is where you're going to see all of your classes. You'll be able to look at your assignments and all of their due dates there, check the grades that you get on those. This platform also uses things like discussion boards, group projects, and that is depending on how the course is structured as well. But you can also meet with your professors and talk with them through this platform as well. So it's a really, really great. If you do run into any issues with Blackboard, we have dedicated tech experts that kind of manage that system and can help you through anything. But hopefully you don't run into any issues. And then from Global Campus, we have a variety of things that systems that we put in place to kind of help you through this whole process. So we don't want you to ever feel like you don't have anywhere to turn. So we've created an office of online student liaisons, and these are probably the best resource that you're going to have for getting information or finding out who to talk to. They're not advisors, but they can connect you with an advisor and help you set up an advising appointment. But anything about the application process, they can answer all of those questions. and point you in the right direction for any question that you might have. That QR code on the right there goes to the liaisons page, so feel free to scan that and go to the chat bot or talk with them on the phone. They work 6 days a week, so you'll have plenty of opportunities to chat with them. Additionally, we have coaches, which kind of act like a cheerleader to make sure you're on track and help you get through some of the tougher times. If you're struggling to keep up or keep motivation, they're there to help. And then we've also built a student union as well. So similar to if you were on campus and there's an on-campus student union, we made this online system that kind of helps you to connect with your peers. If you're wanting to exchange some study tips or discuss a specific topic, this would be a great opportunity to be able to go in and meet with other students and exchange that information. And finally, we have set up an online orientation similar to an on-campus orientation, but in order to familiarize you with the online learning system and get you set out on the right foot, we've built this in Blackboard Learn in the same system that you'll use for your classes. We've built kind of like a mock or a trial class that puts you through everything that you could really expect to do in your coursework, but in a way that doesn't count towards your GPA. So this really helps familiarize you with that system, and I encourage everybody to take advantage of that. And we've seen some really great numbers and evidence that if you go through the orientation, you're much more likely to be successful in your actual classes as well. So for this program, the estimated cost of attendance is $446.29 for tuition per credit hour, and that is the in-state tuition rate. So no matter where you live, you're going to pay the same amount, as well as the fees there on the right. And to help offset the costs, we have several systems here listed. So for scholarships, the online side, we have the W.E. Manning Memorial Scholarship, and this is something that you can apply for, and I believe it's about $1,000 per semester. And that's specific to online. So this is something that, as an online student, we encourage you to apply and take advantage of. But if you are an Arkansas resident, there are several things that could apply to you as well. So the Academic Challenge Scholarship, as well as the Future Grant. And then the College of Education and Health Professions also has their own scholarships. They don't list them on their website for each specific scholarship because they vary by year. But if you go to their website, which I can put in the chat here in a minute, that's one where you can apply and see what you qualify for and hopefully get some of those scholarships as well. And then we also encourage everybody to fill out the FAFSA, no matter if you have scholarships or not. Everybody should fill out the FAFSA. That way you can see what kind of grants you might qualify for. And then if you need to take out loans, you have the option to do that as well. And finally, if you served in the military, you can use your GI Bill for online distance education as well. And perhaps you could go to your employer and see if they can do any tuition reimbursement. So make sure you reach out to all of those resources and see what's available to you. And if you have any questions, the financial aid office, their information is there at the bottom. So feel free to go and ask them any questions. And one last thing that Jeff and I, we meet with a lot of prospective students, and one of the things that people really, really seem, it's such an amazing tradition that we have that people really love this, is that our longest tradition at the University of Arkansas, in both number of miles and number of years, is the senior walk that we have. So we currently have the names of over 200,000 graduates engraved on sidewalks across the university's campus. It's such a big moment getting to see your name there. So that applies to you since the degree is the same. Everything about what you get at the University of Arkansas is the same no matter where you are. So no matter that distance, your name can be engraved on that sidewalk forever. I'll finish up by saying here's the contact information for both the undergrad side on the left as well as the graduate side on the right. Dr. Maddox is there, as well as the coordinator of student services is there. So if you have any questions after the fact, or if you're watching the recorded version, feel free to reach out to them. Our website is also there and our social media. So feel free to reach out to us in any way that you see fit and ask us any questions you have. We'll try to get those answered. but then I'll turn it over for a final Q&A session and let Dr. Maddox maybe speak on some of that or clear up anything that he wants to say.
Any questions?
With this program, so I've been an HR professional for several years now, but I was really looking at this program really for kind of like my next career. They say after after you do, then you teach, and so I'm really looking to get into academia like later on. And so I just wanted to know, because I just through some research, and I've heard that it is much more difficult to get roles in academia with an EdD versus a PhD. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
It's going to really vary by program. And so I think the real key is, do you finish your academic journey with a solid research agenda? Do you have some publications? Because that's really what's going to separate you from others that are looking for faculty positions.
Gotcha.
And it really depends upon if you're wanting to teach if you're wanting to be in a teaching role, or if you're wanting to be more in a tenure track, role. And so if you're looking specifically for a very research focused tenure track position, then the PhD might be an advantage to somebody. But in our field of HRD, an EdD degree is very recognized. And so that would, if you were looking at a degree, a PhD in chemistry versus an EdD in chemistry, that would very much be different. But
yeah, and I'm really thinking more along the lines of a teaching track versus like
and so if you're looking at in our field of HRD, the PhD and the EdD are very kind of interchangeable.
Gotcha.
As opposed to like some of the science fields. But and it's very much kind of the key is to have some research. Even if you're looking at a teaching track position, having some publications and working with faculty while you're in the program to get some publication experience and to participate at conferences doing poster presentations. Those are all things that really help. And I think to just kind of reiterate, we do have a number of students that come into the program with HR backgrounds, and a lot of students that want to do HR type things. It's important to keep in mind that our program is specifically on HRD and not HRM. And so the degree is very beneficial if somebody's in a senior HR role and they want to be able to look at the role of HR from a strategic perspective and the people development perspective. But if you're looking at compensation or benefits and some of the kind of what I call the kind of the transactional side of HR, our program doesn't cover that.
No, yeah. So my professional career's all been on the talent side. So talent acquisition, talent development, field training, and so it's really been on the development side. Yeah,
and I think that's helpful to kind of emphasize in your CV and in your autobiographical sketch.
Okay.
Because really what we're wanting to do is we want to set students up for success. We don't want someone coming into a program and it not being aligned with what their professional interests are. And we also want students that are going to, kind of contribute to the field. And so particularly at a doctoral level, you're finishing the degree and you then are considered kind of an expert.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Chanel, I just wanted to ask your question about the scholarships. I can't really speak to the scholarship part, but I do want to kind of mention that we have a number of international students in the program. One of the unique aspects of fully online programs and fully online education is it's very country specific. And so I know like our global campus, they actually have like an international admissions person and has to verify kind of like what each country's guidelines are. I don't understand fully. I haven't been able to wrap my head around fully like what those criteria are of why certain countries have approved, their students to do fully online programs. And it's not that you can't do it; it's that it may not be recognized in your country then, and then it becomes a challenge in terms of like accreditation and things like that. And so I know that our admissions team looks at that kind of country by country, and so I love having students from across the globe in the program. I'm very involved in a couple of international organization development associations, and so I'll be attending a big conference next fall in Ghana. Last year I attended their conference in Mexico City, and so the year before was in Barcelona. The year before that was in Australia, and so so I love the international aspect of our field.
That's great. I know, Dr. Maddox, I know there was another question here from Andrew about we can get him the information on the military rate, but he was wondering if he could take a semester off and pick up where you left off. He's not sure of his training and deployment events, or if you could speak on that.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways. One is kind of like an actual leave of absence, and so there's an actual form for that, and that very much kind of connects to the military side. If you sit out a semester, there's usually just a kind of a formal application where you kind of reapply, because if you sit out a semester, you're kind of dropped from the system just kind of electronically. But it's a matter of contacting our office and saying, hey, how do I get back in the program? And then we just help you navigate that. And it's really, if your grades are, if you're in good standing grade wise and financial aid wise, it's really not that difficult then to get readmitted. And so, because we recognize that, that life happens and deployments happen, and so the key is just keeping in mind the 7-year time frame from the time you get admitted to the time you defend your dissertation.
And Dr. Maddox, I know we spoke on another webinar, but I thought it was very important how you have your podcasts and different blogs and different things. If you want to speak on that and kind of share that, I think that kind of sets you apart from a lot of other programs as well.
Yeah, so I have a podcast that I host that's called Chatting About Change with Dr. Jim Maddox, and I've got about 75, 76 episodes. And so primarily share those during the academic year, and I share them also on LinkedIn. So, but you can find it on all the podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple, Buzzsprout, and it's basically me chatting with different professionals around different topics around our field. And so, so that's it's a good way for the students to kind of meet people, and then I just teaching an online program. I like being able to connect with people in that virtual space, and so so I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. If you're not active on LinkedIn, now's a good time to kind of jump on there. I also have a blog that I write that's very creatively titled Friday Food for Thought, because it comes out on Fridays. And so there's a bunch of past blog posts that are on LinkedIn if you look under articles. And so, but those primarily come out on Fridays during the academic year. I kind of, during the summer, kind of shift focus to other types of writing. And so kind of just, it's so the podcast and the blog don't happen as much in the summertime, but you can find those on there. And it's just a great way to, for me to share content and ideas with the students. The other thing that we have is some faculty do this. It varies because the program is fully online, so there's no requirement that you be online at any set time. But I do offer what I call optional live chats via Zoom, and those happen sometimes. I try to do them weekly or every other week during the semester. I also have what I call community live chats, and those are once a month in the fall and spring, and those are open to our undergraduate HRD students, our master's students, and our doc students. The community live chats are just a way to network and connect with other students, just like if you were in a face-to-face class and you were in the break room or in a coffee shop and hanging out with other students. So those just take place monthly, and again, they're completely optional. But what's really interesting is the doc students tend to like the community live chats the most, and I think it's just because a lot of the doctoral journey can be very kind of lonely in terms of, especially when you get to the dissertation stage where you're doing that independently. Now you have a dissertation chair and you have a committee, but it's very self-directed, and so it's been really interesting that doc students really love the community live chats.
So I do have a question, or I would like a little bit advice. If I don't know what to do next, like I'm about to finish my master's degree and I'm not sure what I want next, do you have any advice if I should seek my doctoral? Or should I ask myself some questions?
I love like Stephen Covey's idea of start with the end in mind. So what do you see yourself in 5 years, or what would you like to be doing? What's of interest to you? Kind of what do you aspire to? I mean, some people do, when I did my doctoral degree at Nebraska years ago, I did not start out in the program to teach. I had two motivations. One was, my sister and I were first generation college students. And so, we both went to college. She got she's like 8 years older than me. She got a master's. So I got a master's, and then she stopped, and I'm like, I'm going to beat her. So I wanted the doctoral degree because I wanted to have a degree beyond what my sister had. And then the other part was I was working in the HR field for the University of Nebraska. And so I was working in a full-time HR role, and I wanted to be able to consult. And I also thought I would want to move into a leadership role in higher ed. And I looked around, and everybody in a dean position or chancellor position had doctoral degrees. It was not to teach. It was to be able to have the credential to consult, because I saw people that consulted and had the doctor in front of their name that helped their consulting work. And so that was my aspiration. It was very much a personal goal of just wanting a doctoral degree. And there's a number of students that do that. They come into a program and they're like, I don't necessarily want to do anything with the degree, but I want the degree for my personal fulfillment, kind of like, Maslow's higher, and like self-actualization. And so, and then what I found is, as I started working on the doctoral program and had a chance to teach a class as a doc student, I found that I loved being in the classroom. And I just then started gravitating towards that teaching route. And so, but yeah, so a lot depends on what you want to do with the degree. Obviously, if you love school, if you love studying, you love the learning aspect, then that's gonna help propel you forward. If you're curious, that's a key part of being a good researcher. And so, I think thinking about where do you see yourself, and then does the degree help you get there? Encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn, even if you don't end up coming to the U of A. I love our field, and so regardless of where you maybe end up in your educational and professional journey, I'll probably see you at a conference or some other professional events. So, connect with me on LinkedIn, and love sharing ideas and just exploring all the things that are going on in our field. So thank you for taking the time to be here.